Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Hi. All right, I'm admitting some more people. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being on time. I am Becky from The Close, and I am so excited for today. We are in for a treat, let me tell you, because we have Beverly Ruffner with us. And if you're not familiar with Beverly, well, you will be. She is the conversion queen, as we call her, because she really is the queen of converting online leads. And she's not only wildly entertaining and fun, she's very knowledgeable with actionable advice that you actually can start using, which is why Beverly is one of my favorite presenters, and we're so excited that she's here. So just some programming notes before we hand it over to Beverly. If you have any questions, there is a chat area. So we encourage you to chat your questions. There will be a Q&A part. I would also love to know where you're from. I'm in Manhattan, so if you hear sirens in the background as I'm speaking, that is why. But yeah, feel free to chat where you're from. We'd love to know. And then as you have questions throughout the webinar, feel free to chat them in and we'll try to get to them. Couple other programming notes. We're going to be emailing out some scripts afterwards of Beverly. She's a contributor here at The Close. So you're going to be getting not only this recording, but also Beverly's wonderful scripts, quite a few of them. So be on the lookout afterwards on email for both a recording and Beverly's scripts. So I see we have a few people chatting already. Hello, Connecticut, Virginia, Boston. So nice to hear that people from all over the country are joining us. So we're, I think, at a couple minutes after, still letting a couple people in. But with no further ado, I'm going to introduce Beverly Ruffner, who we are so excited to have here today. So Beverly, hi and welcome.
Hello, Becky. My goodness. As my son would say, don't overhype me. I love where all these people are from. We are like in different countries. This is so exciting. We're Boston strong. We have quite a few from Boston. How exciting. This is awesome. You know, I have to say, I was so excited when you all asked me to present a boot camp. And really, we talked about what does our audience, what's like their jam? What do they need? What are they looking for? And I said, everybody wants to know how to generate leads. And everybody wants to know, what do I do with them? How do I get them? What do I do with them whenever I get them? Because we all know we love to follow up, right? So this has really built, and you know, funny thing is, right when this was all being born, I was in the process of, I was managing a team, and you know, just some things were just misaligned. You know, we all get those moments in life where we feel like we need to move on and do something else. And I just started creating a team here in Atlanta, Georgia, as I was building this boot camp. So this boot camp truly comes to you from a very baby stage of a new business being born. And it was very inspiring to me to actually go through the process. So I'm so excited that you all are here. And I'm looking forward to this opportunity of just helping you all build your businesses and think a little bit differently about maybe why you got into real estate. So what qualifies me to sit here and say, let's generate leads and let's do this thing, right? Well, back in 2005, I wasn't challenged enough with my life. So I decided I would get into real estate. And I started with Weichert, went to Remax, and then I ended up with Keller Williams. And I was 50 miles from my market center. So I was able to have a mega agent center. And I was in, I'll call it the Podunk area of Virginia. And I was top 5% in my market because I just went in and dominated. And I'm a firm believer of playing in your own sandbox. And we'll get into that a little bit more later. And that actually led me to training in conversion with Commissions Inc. back in like 2013. And that's where I dubbed the term conversion queen, because everyone said my leads suck, I can't do this. And I'm like, no, they don't. We just need to know how to have proper conversations And that led me to stepping out of my team in 2016 and started my own company, training inside sales associates, and also really building my own ISA team where we were calling leads for our clients. And I was very, very lucky to have been part of a lot of best practices for a lot of the main CRMs that you hear in the real estate industry today. And I am currently growing and going to be coaching a team here in Atlanta. And my passion, I'll tell you, when I had my business back in 2005 and growing, I was looking at my leads in my database, and I was looking at the agents that were in my market, and I felt like I had to save these people from a horrible experience in the real estate industry. And that's what really drove my passion, because it wasn't just calling somebody to say, hey, do you want to get in my car and go buy a house? Or, hey, can I put a sign in your yard? It was way more about, do you have a qualified person that's going to negotiate in your best interest and maybe tell you this house isn't best for you? Because at the end of the day, it's not about the money that you're putting in your bank account. It's about really investing in these people's future. And what happened was that wasn't enough. And then when I started training nationally, I'm like, oh my gosh, now I can teach other people how to have the same passion and how to really work their own leads. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So I hope you're all excited. And oh my gosh, Savannah, Georgia, San Francisco. I love this. Toronto, Canada, Hawaii. We are all over the place. All right. So I'm going to ask you to just open your mind for a minute, and we're going to take you a little bit outside of real estate and just into business itself. I don't know what inspired each one of you to say, I want to take this test and get my real estate license, because I can almost promise you the day that you decided to get your license, you had one opinion and one perspective of what your real estate business was going to look like. And then you start, right? You're like, my friends, my family, and then they all scatter abroad. And you're like, where'd my friends and family go? How am I going to start my business? Why isn't anybody asking me to sell their home? Why is anybody asking me to help them buy a home? We've all had the best friend that bought with somebody else, right? So let's really think about why you got into business and what's changed since you got into the real estate business. And think about businesses that are systems dependent instead of being people dependent. We wake up every day, right? And we are responsible for our job. We're responsible for our next deal. We're responsible to make our business happen. People aren't just going to come to us just because we got a real estate license. And this is the biggest factor that we all really kind of miss, because we think, oh, we're a real estate agent. We buy and sell homes. Well, yeah, but honestly, you're in the database gathering business and you just happen to sell real estate. And if you start thinking like a networker and a recruiter and someone that's sharing, it's going to change the game of your business, I promise you. So thinking about businesses, why do people buy franchises more often than just starting their own business? Restaurants, I don't know if you remember when Cold Stone took off, and Tropical Smoothie, all of these franchises that are just taking off and popping up everywhere. Car washes are the big thing right now. And why is that? Because the systems are already in place. So let's just think about McDonald's for a second. Have you ever gone through the drive-through, got your fries, and they were burnt? Or have you gone through the drive-through, got your fries, and they weren't salted? Well, here's the reason why. When McDonald's hires you, they take you through a rigorous training program, one of the best that are out there in training to systems. So they teach you, push this button, push this button. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie on Netflix. If you haven't, watch it. It's amazing. When McDonald's put their inside restaurant together, they literally drew out on pavement how they could best build the kitchen for efficiency. And you had the guy that was up on the ladder watching everybody go, move here, move here, move here, right? They really put their systems in place. So push this button, push that button. Well, if your fries aren't salted, guess what? You've got a people problem because they forgot to salt it. So the reality is everything we're going to be talking about is going to hopefully help you be mindful of building some systems and really understanding the importance of you're in the database gathering business. And at the end of the day, folks, what else do you have when you're in a service industry? When you're retail, you've got retail to sell. But when you're in a service industry, what do you have? And why do businesses and corporations buy other businesses? For the data. So every lead that you have in your database, don't trash them, don't garbage them. Always be mindful that you are continually collecting data, and that is the value of your business. If at any point at the end of the day you want to sell or you want to have value in your company, that is your value. So what we're going to be talking about today is this. I just get so excited. So these 4 topics right here, we are going to be having a 4-week boot camp, really diving into each one of these modules week over week. And what we're going to be talking about today is just kind of tapping the surface on each one of these and just giving you an idea of what the boot camp is going to look like. So we're going to be talking about the inside scoop of building your pipeline. Who is your ideal client? Organizing your leads in your database. Folks, oh my gosh, I have been in a lot of databases, and I will tell you this. The best way I can explain an unorganized database is think about when you go shopping and you have your shopping list and you walk into the store. How do you know where the product is that you need to run in, grab, and walk out the door? Because they have aisles with the overhanging signs that kind of tell you where to go, right? Our databases, is it just kind of like a phone book? Is there anything when you open up your database, is there anything telling you, oh my gosh, I've talked to these people and they have an agent and they're retiring and they're relocating and they're low value. They can't get good credit. They can't get financing because their credit's bad. Folks, organizing your dashboard is nothing more than looking at every lead as it's in the stock room of a store, and you are taking a lead out of a box that's not marked and you're placing them in your database organized so that you know in the future how to go back to it. And the also favorite line of mine is, in this industry, we wake up every day unemployed. We're going to talk about how to stop that. So let's just start with the inside scoop of building a pipeline of business and how to grow your database. So think about when you wake up every morning and you're thinking about, where's my next deal coming from? What are you doing to let people know that you are open for business? I know October was always my time that I quit. So just throw in the chat, folks, how many times you've actually quit real estate, but you're still here, because we've all done it. I think every October, I'm like, why am I doing this business? Because I'm just crazy enough to stay in it. It allows us to be creative. And we forget that we're able to use that creativeness to get business. So do you have enough leads in your database to be communicating with to start business? 2002 and 2021. Oh, there you go, Amelia. Every year you go, I know it happens. So, you know, I hear so many coaches going, all right, you should have to have 500 leads and work those 500 leads, ABCD them, and hot buyers, medium, cold, blah, blah, blah. Well, here's the fact. Collect your leads, organize your leads. But that's great, right? Where are my leads going to come from? And I don't know about you, but I know with myself, I hate selling. I hate everywhere that I go sounding like that salesperson. So you're going to learn a lot from me on how to really ask great questions, because the reality is we're not selling if we're serving. There's a difference between giving and serving, because when we give, we kind of expect something in return. But when we're serving, it's a cyclical cycle that we're not giving to receive. It just happens by osmosis. And when you think about why you're doing what you're doing, when we're in this industry, we all truly do come from a place of service. How many real estate agents do you know came from the nursing industry, came from the bartending industry, came from waiting tables? Most of us have come from a place of service, and real estate just allows us to live that lifestyle, but yet sometimes we don't know how to create that lifestyle. So when it comes to engaging in conversations with people, it's just asking those simple questions when you run into somebody going, hey, gosh, today's market is insane. When was the last time you bought a house? Or have you ever bought a house? Hey, have you heard what's going on with today's market? It's insane. So we love to overcomplicate things and think about what we're going to say. And then we don't say it because we don't want to be wrong. We don't want to come off as wrong. We don't want to hurt people's feelings. Folks, all it is a simple way to really ask questions. So my exercise that I want to challenge you with today after we get off the phone is forget that you're a real estate agent for a minute and just put yourself in the perspective of a buyer or a seller. And just say, if I was out somewhere and somebody asked me this question, how would I answer it? So I always say when we walk into a retail store and a sales clerk says to us, is there anything I can help you with today? What do you all say? Drop it in the chat, because I know we're going to have a collective answer. You walk into a retail store and the sales clerk says, is there anything I can help you with today? No, thanks, just looking. No, just looking. No, thanks, just browsing. Well, and sometimes yes. Amna, thank you for that. The sometimes yes is, man, my computer just crashed. I'm in the middle of writing a contract. I need a computer like stat, right? When we need something, we're on it. But when we don't, we're like, talk to the hand, leave me alone. But now let me ask you this for everybody that said, I'm just looking. If I were to just ask you, well, that's awesome. You're just looking. Thank you so much for stopping in. Let me just ask, if you were to purchase something today, would it be for business, casual, or special occasion? So just pop in there what you would say. And when you think about hearing that response, how does that make you feel? Does it feel like I'm selling you something? Does it feel like I'm pushing you to do something? Does it feel like I'm violating your privacy? So casual, awesome. Is there any plans that you have on going anywhere? Business, oh, what is it that you do for work? Special occasion, oh, where might you be going, right? It's just getting a little bit more information and getting people to open up, because let's face it, folks, we are sold to from the time we wake up and pick up our phone. There is sales everywhere on our phone. So don't be that salesperson and pitching yourself. Be the question person, be the inquisitive person. And that's what's going to help you find your next client from doing what you love. Because if you're doing what you love, you're going to be in a space that you enjoy being in, and you're going to have commodity with other people. So it's much easier to talk to these people. And then guess what? You're going to like your clients. And I know we've all had those clients who are like, oh, thank God they're gone. I don't have to see them again. Well, let's get clients you like. So my team name, and I don't drink anymore, so it's kind of funny, but I love wine. I still do love wine. I just don't drink it anymore. We were Wine Trail Homes, and my team name was Wine Trail Homes for a design purpose. I could write off my wine. I loved to be at wineries, and that's where I would find my clients. You go hang out at a winery on Sunday, you just start making conversations with people and asking them, hey, when's the last time you bought a house? It's not intrusive. It's only intrusive if you think you're selling. If you are desperate and you think you're selling, it may come off intrusive. All right, module 2, So that's what we're going to be talking about in the very first one, is really how to build your database. And number 2, who's your ideal client? Know your market, know your client. I cannot even begin to explain when I really didn't know my market, my confidence was kind of not so much. And I did think that my competing agents in my market were better than me. I didn't believe I was the best agent in my market until I had market confidence. Market confidence is so key to being able to have really good conversations. So folks, I'm going to say one thing. This is your other homework. So first, start thinking about questions that aren't intrusive. Second, look at your competition in your market. What are they doing? And just be a little bit better, because it's not hard. And I will promise you this, there is a curtain you can pull back and their life is a mess behind the scenes. I promise you, there is no realtor that's got it all together. So if you think you want to be like so-and-so, you probably don't. Just get to know your market. So when you really know your market, who's your ideal client? Have you ever heard the term avatar? Who is your avatar? And this comes back to, who do you want to work with? Who is your ideal client? Because when you know what keeps them awake at night, when you know what their problem is, when you know what they're looking for, there's your marketing brand right there. And there's so many niches that are in this industry that are, I mean, it's just numerous amount of different groups that you could get into. Stay-at-home moms. I have one client that, one of my coaching clients, he wrote a book on seniors 55 plus on how to downsize. And that's his entire market. And that's all he does. Now, will he take other deals? Yes. But his brand is marketing to the 55 plus. You could focus just on condos. It's just a myriad of whatever it is. Again, going back to, what do you love to do? And where do those people hang out? And who do you want to work with? So again, it's getting creative, right? I always like, so when you know who your ideal client is, and we're going to be diving really deep into really creating that person. Literally, you'll have a name. Your avatar will have a name, and they will have a complete and entire description. So when we're diving into that, we're going to have you actually do interviews with people, and you're going to know exactly how to build your brand and who to work with. So in my world, if I don't like what I'm doing, it's a job. But if I love what I'm doing, I don't work a day in my life, and every day's a vacation. And there's no reason why this business should be hard. We do not have to work hard. We just have to love what we do. And we have to find our passion and re-engage our passion in this industry. And let's face it, this is freaking June of 2021, and this business is not easy for our clients right now. We have a lot of miserable clients that can't find a home. And our job is not to be miserable with them. Our job is to educate them and let them know this might not be the time for you. What is the best thing for you? And when you know your avatar and you know your market that well, you can show up. Ooh, there we go. Module number 3. So are you guys liking this so far? Are you liking the content? All right, perfect. I get some thumbs up. Yay, yay, yay. All right, now, this is one of my favorite lines. How do you stop waking up every day unemployed? I remember every day going, I don't have a listing. I don't have a buyer. All right, what have I got to do? People don't just go, hey, I'm ready to buy a house. Back in the day, and this is a story for you to really, really resonate, right? 30 years ago, 20 years ago, the only real way a buyer knew that there was anything on the market was by the Sunday paper, that home section. Yes, I'm showing my age now. So every Sunday, the big thick paper would come out and have the home section. That was like the hot thing. Are you going to market my property in the home section? Well, here's the fact, guys. Your leads don't suck. And it's not that they're taking 3 years to buy. It's just that they're able to look and you're able to have exposure to them today instead of the day they walked into a real estate office. So any of you that have been with real estate for any length of time, and for those of you that haven't, the dreaded desk duty, right? It's like, oh, you have to, if you're a realtor, you have to sign up for desk duty at this time. And then you got the lead that walked in the office. Can you imagine that? Well, so nothing's changed with how long it takes from someone to start the process in their mind to actually execution. The only thing that's changed is the fact that everybody's on the internet, right? So just think about why you want to target your business. Now, here's the funny thing. I don't know if any of you have ever in the morning pulled up on the MLS what homes came on the market today. And I know you all have that one agent in your market that you're like, oh my gosh. And then you're like, oh my God, they just got that listing. How in the hell did they? And it almost like pisses you off. You're like, no. Well, guess what? It's your fault. They did not even know that you existed to interview you. And if you think you're better than that agent, shame on you. Because it is your job to get yourself out there, which is why you want to target your business, because you've got to save these people from a bad experience. We all have stories of agents on the other side of our deals that probably didn't represent their clients like they should have. And I'm going to interject one quick story into this and what changed my game of why I did what I did. Back in the day of short sales, it was my listing, and we had a buyer that was under contract from another agent. And it was summertime-ish. It was like, I don't know, June-ish, we got the contract. And we all know how long short sales take, right? A week, 2 weeks? No, they take like months. So here we are, November, supposing to close in that Thanksgiving timeframe-ish. Well, there was a first and a second mortgage on it, and we were waiting on the second mortgage to approve. So here we were moving through Thanksgiving with no loan approval yet, or with no approval from the bank yet. The agent reached out to me and she says, we have to close by next week. I said, well, my hands are tied. Like, we're doing everything we can with the bank. I can't help you anymore. And what I found out was she did a commission advancement with a company to get her check back when we went under contract, which was 6 months previous. You only have 6 months to pay that commission company back. So she did not have the money to pay the commission advancement company back, and we were coming into Christmas and she didn't have the money for Christmas for her kids. So my question to you all, was she working in the best interest of her buyer, or was she working in her bank account's best interest? And folks, that opened my eyes to a whole new way of seeing agents on the other side of my deals. And not only that, but protecting clients from whatever. Think about it, folks. Now, Canada, I know you're all a little different. Like, you have to have a college degree in Canada. It takes forever to get your license. But in most states in the United States, it's literally 50, 60, 70-hour course. And you are then licensed to negotiate someone's best interest and someone's biggest investment. So I know I get on that soapbox a lot, but folks, this is so, so important to really know that you are on this webinar because you are choosing to be better at what you do. And folks, there's a lot of people out there that don't have a freaking clue that there's anything that even happens like this in the industry. That there's in their little hole and they're selling their neighbor's property and they have no idea what they're doing. So folks, if you're not in this for any one reason but saving people from a bad experience. So I'm going to go off of then selling your community, because it kind of entwines in together, right? One of the biggest nuggets that I took away in my growth was the more narrow your focus, the broader your business. And when I really think about that saying, it reminds me of a bullseye target, where you have the exact bullseye and then you have these rings that kind of expand and grow bigger. And then you're off the chart, right? Like you're completely out of the circles and then you're off the chart. Well, when you're targeting a very narrow focus, you can dominate because you know every single home on every single street, you know every single agent that's trying to dominate the market. It's so much easier to focus on a smaller section than trying to be all things to all people. So when you really focus, and when I said in the beginning about playing in your own sandbox, when you are in your sandbox, you know all the kids that are showing up. You know which kid's going to pull your hair. You know which kid's going to take your toy. You know which kid's going to play nice. And you know which kid just talks nonsense and won't shut up. But if you start playing in other people's sandboxes, you don't know anybody and you don't know what you're walking into. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what's going on. But you know every toy in your damn sandbox. So really think about focusing in on your community and sell your community, not the homes. Start networking with other business owners because other business owners know so many people. And this is a huge passion for my heart because I love Chamber of Commerce. I love networking events and I love small businesses. And small businesses will love you because you're bringing people in from out of town possibly, and you're going to help them generate more business. And who needs that more now than ever? Small business owners and restaurants. So we'll really be diving in deep on how you can create a VIP plan and really working with your small business owners and rising above your competition in this module. This is one of my favorite modules, by the way. Oh my goodness, then the dreaded database. All things database. So these are always the questions, right? I'm sure all of you are in Facebook groups and you always see, what's the best CRM? Right? Well, I don't say the one you use because that's usually the answer you get. It's what are you aiming to achieve in your business is going to be your best CRM. What are your goals? What are you looking to gain? And how the freak are you going to work it? Are you going to work it? A lot of us get caught up. A lot of us get caught up in that drama of, I want more leads. I can throw money at leads and I can generate leads. And I'm looking at the leads on my dashboard and I see tremendous opportunity. Like, oh my gosh, I got all of this business. If I just call them, I'm going to have appointments. Well, that's just it, right? If I just call them. So then it's like, I'm going to hire somebody to call them. Yes, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hire somebody to call them. Well, folks, how much money are you spending on the lead and how much money are you having somebody to have a conversation that you probably haven't even listened to or probably haven't even qualified for them to have a conversation? So we all get caught up, and me, I did it. I'm like, I was a lead whore. I'm like, oh, leads. So I'm looking at all my leads and I see the opportunity, but when I would sit down to make the phone calls and I would call that first person I get hung up on, and I would call the second person and they already bought a house, and I would call the third person and they have an agent, I'd be like, oh my God, this shit don't work. I was faced with the fact that I didn't have as much opportunity as what I thought I had. So I chose not to make the phone calls because I like to feel that I had opportunity. But if I called the leads, I might not have as much opportunity as I think. So really check yourself as to why you don't call your leads. But the reality is there's no best CRM. They all suck. It's just a matter of what workaround are you willing to do for the goals you're trying to achieve for your business or your team's business or your broker's business. It doesn't matter, right? It's all in. They all have pros. They all have cons. And I am such a firm believer in no lead left behind, which is why it is so important for me to say, organize your leads. And, you know, this whole industry has taught us speed to lead. Yes, we all know the infamous term speed to lead, but what about the consistency of the follow up and the follow through when they don't answer the first time? I see it with every, now I'm not going to say every, but I see it with a very large percentage of people that pay for Zillow leads, the people that pay for realtor.com leads, Google leads, Facebook leads, first phone call. I'm reactive, lead came in. Never pick up the phone to call that person back again because we're reactive. It's easy to be reactive, but it takes a little bit of ingenuity to be proactive. So in this module, we'll be teaching you really how to be proactive with your leads so that you don't leave a lead behind. And I don't teach how many calls are you making. I teach how many conversations are you having and how to qualify the conversations based on priority, because that, folks, is where the meat is at. Yes, do we have to get through the dials to get to the conversations? Yes. However, focus on and set your goals on how many conversations you're having, not by how many dials you're making, because it all kind of comes into the same, right? And should you be paying for leads? Some people should, some people shouldn't. Because here's the reality, folks. Zillow can work in one market and it can suck in another market. Same with anything else. It's always trial and error, right? And how much money do you have to invest in your business? So there's pros and cons to paying for leads. And are you in a position, because here's the thing, folks, sometimes you may just need to go get a job, because if you feel that you have to pay for leads and you don't have the resources behind you, or you don't have the revenue behind you, get on a team, folks. And here's a nugget that I'm going to leave you with. There are so many unworked leads in dashboards. It would literally blow your mind if you would see how many leads that I see that are unworked in dashboards. There are agents in your brokerage right now. I promise you, if you don't want to pay for leads, find out who in your brokerage has a database of leads that came in 5, 6, 7 years ago that they aren't working, and say, hey, could we work out a referral deal? I want to start working your old leads. Folks, that's where the money is. People start looking 2, 3 years before they execute. And everybody's forgot about the lead they got yesterday, let alone 5, 6, 7 years ago. So you don't have to pay for them. Find another agent that has a database and work a referral agreement out with them. I mean, folks, come on. Opcity, you're paying 30, 35% referral. Redfin, you're paying referral. So if you're willing to pay referral fees to get leads, work a deal with an agent that has old leads in their database. And I promise you there will be some there. And don't lose sight of your pipeline. What do I mean by pipeline? Pipeline are those leads that from the time they come in is new. I've never talked to you. I've talked to you and you have a situation, or I'm showing you properties, or I set an appointment and you ghosted me. Know where your leads are to prepare your future business. Because at the end of the day, when we're making a phone call, we don't just need business today and tomorrow and next week and next month. We need business next year and the next 2 years. So no conversation is ever no conversation is ever a waste of your time. So the last question you always want to ask a lead that says, no, I'm just looking. Well, what has to happen for you to make a move? Are you 1, 3, 5 years out? Put them in your pipeline, organize them. So my last and final quote of the day, a lead is a contributing factor to the success of your business. And again, like I started this out, this is all about you being mindful of being in the database gathering business. You just happen to sell real estate. So Becky had said in the email that was coming over to you, I am not a script person. I am a question person. So if you all do want a copy, once you go to fixyourcrm.com, just scroll the whole way at the bottom, you'll get my free scripts and you'll get my free tags as well on helping you to organize your database if you already have a database in the working. So that's over at fixyourcrm.com. So now for the juicy stuff. Juicy, juicy. Becky, do you want to stop for questions before we go to the juicy stuff, or do you want me to roll out the juicy stuff first?
Yeah, I think this has been truly fantastic. I have been having my eyes on the chat the entire time. It's been wonderful to be seeing everyone engaging with us. If anyone has any questions for Beverly and specifically, please drop them in the chat. We will ask Beverly. But Beverly, I'll toss it back over to you if you want to continue, and then maybe come back to me in 5 minutes and we'll see what questions we have.
You got it.
Love it.
So I would love for you to join us for a 4-week boot camp. I cannot wait. I haven't even recorded them yet. I'm just so excited about bringing you this content because it's so near and dear to my heart. So we are going to be going through every topic each week. Starting next week is going to be the first video that's going to come out to you on each topic that we talked about today. And what is the Close Pro? I may be partial because I absolutely love them. And what actually attracted me to the Close was their blog. I was reading one of the blogs that Sean had put out. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so spot on. They just attract really great talent into the Close. And the content that is on the back end of the Close, folks, there's past boot camps just like this one. And we have plans to be rolling out several more boot camps just like this one that's coming up. The downloadable resources, you know, whenever you go into those Facebook groups, you're like, hey, does anybody have this? Hey, does anybody have that? There are, and I mean, there's so many different downloadable resources. And then the on-demand video training, folks, if you can't find it on the Close, you ain't going to find it. And I'll tell you this, if you can't find it, let us know and we'll get it there. Because that's what we're dying to know is, what do you want? What can we bring you? So with that, we do have a special offer today up through June 9th. If you use the code Close Pro, what is it? What is the code? Now I'm like, leads. All right, use code leads by June 9th. And you're going to get $100 off. Folks, I'm just going to tell you this right now. This boot camp coming up the next 4 weeks is more value than what this is for an entire year. And, you know, I saw this price and I'm like, that's it. Seriously, this is gold content. It really, truly is gold content here, folks. So I would love to spend the next 4 weeks with you, or I would love for you to spend the next 4 weeks with me, really learning how to generate your leads and just take your business to another level. That's my goal. So now I would love to hear some questions and open it up. Becky, back to you.
Yeah, wonderful. Really loved this presentation. Definitely had a lot of aha moments. I think one of my favorite things about Beverly is, you know, a lot of people use the word motivating. And we talked about this last week, Beverly, but with motivation, that's just something that you get in the here and now. But really, Beverly, you're super inspiring. I think you alter how people think and feel about their businesses. It's a more long-term type of effect that you have on me anyway. So I definitely loved this presentation. I thought it was so fantastic. I've been getting a lot of like hand claps in the chat and people saying like, yes, I want to create value, and just yesing true, 100% yes. Haven't seen a specific question just yet, but if you do have any, please, please, please drop them in the chat, because we would definitely love to answer any questions about any of the modules that we covered. Or any questions about this 4-week boot camp that we're going to be doing at the Close Pro, or any questions about the Close Pro. So not seeing any questions just yet, but Beverly, I think I have one question for you I would love to ask. How long did it take you to kind of like formulate your approach to leads? It seems like you have it down to a system. Like, how much trial and error was involved in this?
Oh my gosh. It's so funny you asked me that, because I was the one with the sweaty hands and the sweaty feet, and the phone was 100 pounds. I'm like, oh my God, I had major phone phobia. I'm not going to lie. And you know, it was so funny. My very first lead that I got, so I was in Virginia, but my hometown's Pittsburgh area, Latrobe. And it was a 412 area. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're coming from my hometown. They're going to be my best friend. And I never, ever talked to them. And so that was my experience with my first lead. So that was in 2006. 2007, going to 2008. I failed horribly at it for a couple of years until our market really took a transition, and it just took a lot of failing forward and a lot of losing clients and just realizing, do you have an agent? Have you talked to a lender? It's such an abrasive approach that that's what everybody asks. So create a plan. So I started thinking a little bit differently than what everybody else was thinking and saying, how long have you been looking? Have you been in any homes? What's your plan moving forward? How can I help you put a plan together that's going to be of best benefit for you in your home buying process or your home selling process? Ask them. Don't tell them. They don't care what awards you got. They don't care how many homes you sold. They don't care anything about you. They care all about themselves. And the more that you inspire someone else to talk about themselves, the more you're going to win them over. You're not going to win every one of them, but I just wanted to be different with my conversations and just start about creating a plan. And that's been very effective. And Becky, I did have one, I'm not going to identify by name because it did come into me direct message. What advice would you give to a brand new agent who wants to transition from a full-time job? It's such a great question. And I'm sure you are not the only one on here maybe thinking this, because it's a very difficult transition, right? Because you're going from safety and security to the unknown. And my best advice is know what your average sales price is and look at your average sales price and say, okay, how many of these do I need to close to keep my current lifestyle? And really start putting that plan into place, because it's not going to happen overnight, right? What we're doing today is where we're going to be in 60 to 90 days. So put a date on your calendar, 3 months or more, and work it like there's no tomorrow. But we have to know what the end goal is, right? We have to know what monetarily is going to replace, and we have to have that in the queue. So that's my best advice, is just know what your average sales price is, know what your average commission is, and really work the plan and put a date on that you want to be able to retire out of your full-time job. And just make it happen.
That's a great question. Definitely, and killer advice as well. Had a couple more questions, one of which I can answer. Brian asked, how much is the Close Pro? With the $100 off offer, it'll be $199, which does include Beverly's Bootcamp along with lots of other stuff. I've been linking to it in the chat, and I will send all of that info as well in an email. The offer is good for 2 more days. Mary Ann also had a question. Finding buyers does not seem to be our issue, but how do we hone in and find homeowners who might want to sell, which I know that is a hot topic in today's market. So I would love to hear your perspective.
It is a hot topic, and I can let it out of the bag. This is actually my favorite way to find sellers because nobody else is doing it. I can guarantee you, because it takes a little bit of ingenuity and it takes a little bit of work. Think back to your market 5-6 years ago. How much equity do those people have in their home today that bought 5 or 6 years ago? Just some people just throw in the chat. How much equity you think a first-time home buyer that bought 5 or 6 years ago, how much equity do you think they have in their home if they were to sell it today? And think in your market, what is the average time that people stay in their homes before they move up? So, all right, I'm seeing 20% more, 50 to 100,000. So what number do you think would make someone that bought 5 years ago move? Do you have a make me move number? And any of you that have Mojo, that have RedX, that have anything that can that you can upload data from your MLS to get phone numbers, even cold data can do that as well. Go back the people that purchased 5 to 6 years ago, scrub the property history, make sure it hasn't sold. And folks, I'm going to go back to your sandbox. When your sandbox is that small, you're only talking hundreds of properties. You're not talking multiple thousands. If you're working an area and it's that big and that's that broad, you're like, are you nuts? Like, it's going to take me forever to do that. But if you hone in on a specific zip code, a specific school zone, a specific neighborhood that's large, this is so able to do. So you go back to people that bought 5-6 years ago, 50% more. Holy cow, Brian. So 50 to 100,000 more, 20% more. Folks, think about this. They could literally trade up and maintain their current mortgage. Because most people that bought first-time home buyer were FHA and they have a mortgage insurance premium. And what were interest rates back then, 5-6 years ago? A little bit higher than they are today. I know I bought my home 5-6 years ago and I'm at like 4 and something percent. So get creative, go back. Those are your best sellers. And guess what? Double lenders, right? If they're going to sell, you got to help them buy. 2 bangs for $1. Those are my best place to find sellers. And again, selling your community.
I love that. Great advice. I'm going to end on this question because I want to be mindful of time, but Victor did ask a question. How long should I keep leads / funnel who aren't buying or signing that check? So how long should
Forever. So if you remember what I said originally when we were talking about you're in the database gathering business, just because it's not good data for you right now immediately, folks, I had affiliates that paid me, right? If you're going to be profitable, don't just depend on your commissions, and that's a whole other webinar. But I had a moving company that literally paid me for data because they wanted all of the new homes that were coming on the market because then they could market to them. Folks, the data that you gather through time is valuable to somebody. And the more organized that data is, the more valuable it will be to anybody. Because is there anybody on this earth that won't move? No. So even though they're not buying today, I can promise you there's going to be some type of movement in the future. Even if it's, I'm sorry, even if it was their toe tag home and it's into a coffin, there's always going to be a move. So, the reality is that's where we tag them, not buying, not selling, toe tag home, because you do hear somebody's like, I ain't moving out of here. They carried me out of here in a wooden box. So just organize your data and keep your data. If it's a good phone number and or a good email, it's good data. So don't trash anybody, Brian, your grandfather. Don't trash anybody. Just keep qualifying that data.
Awesome. Well, I want to be mindful of time. If anyone has further questions, we're always available at hi@theclose.com. I personally monitor that email. And so if you have any questions at all, feel free to follow up on email. I found this to be such a wonderful hour. I don't know about you all, but I personally got so much out of this. Thank you, Beverly. Just
Pleasure.
Such an inspiration. Again, we're going to be doing a more in-depth 4-week boot camp at the Close Pro. Chatting info. Oops, I chatted that privately. Let me chat that to everyone. Here we go. Yeah, and when you use code LEADS for the next couple days, I believe until June 9th, you'll get $100 off the Close Pro, and you will get access to this 4-week boot camp along with a lot of other resources. If you have any questions at all, hi@theclose.com. And yeah, thank you, Beverly. I'm seeing a lot of thank you. This was really good info. It seems like people are really enjoying this. I know I personally was. So thank you so much, Beverly.
Thank you for the opportunity. And thank